Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Rachel Roxanne joining us here today. So excited to have her here from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She is a transformational life coach, helping to empower so many people. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Would you mind introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do specifically.
Of course, I am a little stuffy today, so I'll preface,
I
but
had a nasal surgery 4 weeks ago. I'm still stuffy. So I'm with you.
oh,
I'm sorry. I hope you
okay.
feel better. But
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Rachel Roxanne, and I am a transformational life coach. So when I work with clients, I really hit transformation not only from the physical perspective, but also emotional and spiritual. And then in all areas of life, that's how I want to help people. So for my transformation, I've had to go through a lot with relationships and physical health. So I've become really, really good at supporting others through that journey.
Perfect. Well, it's excited to have you here. And I know you offer really customizable programs for your clients. And could you talk a little bit about some of the things that you work on with people and what's good to come? What is somebody looking to empower themselves to change themselves? What are some of the types of things they're going through that you can help with?
Yeah, of course. So like I said, some physical health symptoms. So for me, I kind of had like a lot of digestive issues, things with energy. And when I started to peel back the layers of that, I really found that emotional stuff was kind of behind that. So when I help people, it's like, you know, really uncovering if you have resentment towards someone, or if you can't forgive yourself, or if you can't forgive others, those symptoms can manifest in your physical body. So it's really important to me to create a safe space to talk about these things. I think a lot of people just don't have someone to talk to about kind of what I like to call the shadow stuff, right? The
Yeah.
uncomfortable parts of us. Um, like I said, it's really important for me just to make them feel safe, and then they can
Mm-hmm.
open up and we can talk about it at that conscious level, and then
Got it.
also hit it with the subconscious and unconscious energetic work too.
Awesome. I want to hear more about the energy work too, but let's start with empowerment in general, what that
Yeah.
means to you and how that can really help people, if you don't mind getting into that for us.
Yeah, of course. I love that question. I think when you hear power, the kind of old school thinking about it is power over someone else. And when I think about empowerment, it's really been all about taking my own energy back. So, we can't change the past or experiences or things that have happened to us.
Yeah.
However, we can change the meaning that we give it and the story that we tell ourselves because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really taking your own, like, I'm trying to see if there's like a visual I have for it. Like if you're just standing and then, we're in this world where you have an external view, it's like taking your own story or energy back from that external experience you had. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. It does. It does. It does.
Yeah. So that's what it means to me. It's just like calling your own, I keep saying energy, but that's what I kind of feel
No,
like the word
it is.
empower is. Yeah,
Yeah.
like your own self back.
And energy. Yeah, that makes sense for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And let me ask you just a little bit about yourself before we continue. I think it's important to get to know you. What brought you into this field? Would you mind sharing a little bit about your background? I know you really
Yeah.
always had hopes and dreams to change the world. Could you dive
Yeah.
in a little bit about that?
Of course, yeah. So, I finished college like 6 years ago, and I quickly realized like, oh, I want to have my own business because what I want to do doesn't really fit into a box that exists yet.
Hmm.
Um, so I started to learn about, personal development, self-growth. I listened to people online about building their own businesses. I worked with a business coach and it wasn't really soul aligned for me. I kind of learned what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So then I turned towards this working on myself, all of these patterns that I had. So that's what I've really done personally for like 5 years now, really hitting it hard. And then I've got to coach, like health coach, like help people lose weight in that
Hmm.
amount of time too, like 3 years. And then on the side, I've been building this business where I can hold kind of this other space for people. Like, even when someone wants to lose weight, a lot of us have these patterns of
Yeah.
food and ideas of food, and we live in this food culture where we just don't really eat healthy food all the time, and we don't know why we choose the foods that we do. So it's kind of been both sided at the same time.
Got it. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. And by the way, the work you do, you're virtual. You can work with
Mm.
someone anywhere around the world, right? Not just in
Yep.
your hometown, but you can in
Hmm.
Minneapolis as well,
Yeah.
which also makes you unique. And I want to talk more in regards to, I was reading your notes earlier, if you don't mind me looking down.
Hmm.
You were talking about that greater drive, right? So you have to have that drive, you say, to really tap into something bigger that you can manifest, you can create that. Could you talk
Yeah.
about that process? I mean, of manifestation and mindset, how we really can change. And I mean,
Mhm.
clearly, and I want to hear some examples of some of your clients, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Oh yeah, of course. So I think I wrote on there what I've been thinking about the last couple days is like it's almost you like you have this North Star or this compass, right? So again, from a young age, I was like, I want to change the world and I want to work towards that. And then I did learn about like the law of attraction and manifesting. So I was like, oh my gosh, like your thoughts become things.
Yeah,
So I learned that. And then, like I said, I wasn't getting those results yet. So that's when I turned towards, oh, because I still have these old beliefs or imprints from things that happened to me as a kid. I need to like integrate those and process them and let them go so I can let the new things in.
yeah, yeah,
So an example, like with someone that I worked with, he did want to lose weight. So that was kind of the main, point that we had, but he's like lost and gained weight in the past. So this time around, we talked about that, but then we also talked about those patterns and behaviors. Like he was realizing he works on the road. So he's like, I was realizing I was in my hotel room and I was just like kind of eating a lot of food because I kind of felt bad about myself. And I'm
yeah,
like, right, this is the pattern that you've had for, years and years. So we really started to uncover that. And, it comes in layers and as a process, but he's been able to be like, oh my gosh, like I understand when I feel, sad about myself, I choose to eat. And if you don't put the two together, you're not going to be able to move forward and keep
yeah.
moving.
Absolutely. And also, let me ask you,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to the energy work you do we call it Reiki, or could you explain what energy work is so some people may not be familiar? And I'm confused. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's that, or tell us what energy work is and some of the possibilities with helping that as well for people.
Yeah, 100%. So Reiki is like a specific modality. It comes out of Japan. So Reiki is kind of it's like a first step into this energetic world for healers and people like that. So I did take a class on it. But for me, I've always just been able to pick up on the energy of a room and like the energy of the person in front of me or a situation.
Yeah,
So an example that has come up that I've worked with a couple people, or a couple women actually specifically, was this
wow.
throat space. So a lot of women, we're taught to be quiet, just look pretty, not speak your truth. And if you, take on that story long enough, women, this was me, like I couldn't feel like I really wanted to share what I needed to say. And I wasn't getting what I wanted because I was just listening to what everyone else said. So it took a lot of work to really like, oh my gosh, I have a voice and I can use it and I won't be
Yeah.
shamed for it or looked down upon. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge wound. And people, again, it's becoming more and more aware, I think, with the political climate and all kinds of things going on. But
Yeah.
it's just really fascinating to look at.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, are you also an empath? Like, can I call you that?
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
you feel
Hmm.
something, can sense something that's different, I would say, than in most people. So when someone comes to you to call you, like, do you kind of already sense them and their energy and what they're maybe looking to motivate them to do to change? Or
Yeah, 100%. There was an example of a guy who I don't think he was here in America, but he was like in some kind of wherever his country was, like the army. And he had this energy of like, I need to pass it. I'm really scared if I don't pass it, kind of felt restricted. And so I kind of talked to him about it. I'm like, let's change that energy. Why are you feeling so anxious about it? Why are you feeling so scared about it?
yeah,
And I think he had taken like a test prior and he didn't pass it or something. And then I think he took it again and he still didn't pass it. But he was just like in such a better place. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't in this anxious, fearful energy
Yeah.
anymore.
That's got to feel good. Yeah, I'm a very natural anxious person, very
Yeah.
high anxiety. And I said, "Oh, let me
Mhm.
try taking a pill." Did nothing. Then I just did
Right.
some like blood work, and a doctor told me you have like a gene mutation, and part of that gene mutation makes you who you are, and that's never going to change. Your anxiety is just there. So I feel better about myself. I'm like, it's just me. I have a
Yeah.
5 and 7 year old, and I'm always like this, like that, on the go. And I thought like I'm too hyper, and but sometimes just can't change who you are. But yeah, I always get anxiety when I'm going somewhere, I have to speak or I have to do
Mhm.
something, but I can control it. It's just natural. We have, things that, you can't really change, right?
Right.
Let me ask you, have you ever been helped by a transformational coach? Did you suffer your own share of, you know, needs, I should say, wants, helping to better yourself as well? Could you share that journey with us?
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to think. So again, for like this first chunk of my journey, it was a lot of health stuff. So I kind of
Mm-hmm.
found like local chiropractors and I learned about muscle testing and kinesiology testing. So I like changed my diet and healed my gut. I did have anxiety. I had depression too. So it was like, finding a balance with that. And
Okay.
then honestly, being on Facebook or just online, there's so many amazing healers now too
Yeah.
who you can just tap into. And a lot of them I met in like Facebook groups and have had trainings. So coach wise, I haven't worked with too many coaches, but I've worked with other like healers and business owners, and they really catapulted me. And I'm so thankful for it because it does all add up too over
Yeah.
time.
No, absolutely. And I was reading in your notes and stuff, you were talking about, things happening in your career in a sense, and there's some codependency. You were talking about issues and
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, people limiting beliefs. Could you discuss that and how your work could actually help someone through those things?
Heck yes. Yeah, this is what lights me up, right? So, limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome, I kind of, they're kind of hand in hand, right? So, it's like our brains are like a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're kind of downloaded or programmed to believe certain things. So, I think a common one that I kind of fell into as a young woman is like, you go to college, you meet the man there, you have a family, this is how it goes. And that didn't happen for me.
Yeah.
So I had these stories come up of like, well, am I not woman enough? Am I not good enough? Do I not deserve to have love? Whatever, all the things that came up.
Mm-hmm.
And my journey has really been about like, oh no, like I am lovable just for who I am. I can, like, it's okay that I'm not quote married with this house right now. I need to follow my own journey. And looking at codependency, that's definitely run in my family, like on both sides. My grandma and grandpa are definitely codependent, not necessarily a super healthy relationship. They didn't talk about this kind of stuff that happened between them and the stress that was there. And then when I was a little girl, like I had a mom and a dad, but my dad was just emotionally kind of up and down. So as that empath and sensitive kid, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get the dad who like shows me a lot of love and gives me the hug, or if I'm going to get the dad who's kind of crabby and like pushes everybody away from him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So as a little girl, I was like, I just want to be loved. And I thought I could find that in a relationship with a man. And I've gotten pretty close, but I had a lot of, emotions that came up with, well, wait a second, I need to learn how to take care of myself
Uh-huh.
too.
Exactly. Look, I grew up in a household. My parents never got along at all. And there was always cops at the house, a lot of fighting. I was the youngest of three. And to this day, I'm 44. I've never been married. I have two kids alone. Relationships are not my strong point, and I know that has affected me. And people say that you can heal, you can go therapy, and I've tried that. Nothing's healed, but right now I'm just so busy with my kids. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
The relationship parts, whatever, at this point. But it's true. The trauma that happens to us as children is important, but I know it can be changed, right?
It can. And
Got it.
I'm not gonna sit here and say it's super easy. You go to therapy
Mm-hmm.
one time and it's fixed, because that's just not the reality. We have a lot of these emotions that we hold on to. And the more you open your heart and the more you choose to forgive, your parents, your grandparents, your old relationships, you can feel lighter and lighter.
Okay. Wow. All right. Good to know. And let's
Yeah.
remind our listeners of how we could reach out to you, please.
Yeah. So I don't have a website right now, but on Instagram, it's Rachel Roxanne 1111. And that's also the same email, Rachel Roxanne 1111 at gmail.com.
Great. And would you mind sharing some of your client stories without using their names, some of the things that you are working on or have worked on with someone? You really can, use it as an example, and our listeners can maybe empathize and say, wow, that sounds like me. This could be me.
Yeah.
It's good to hear some of the experiences if you don't mind.
Yeah, 100%. Let me think. So I have been doing some things here locally. So there was one girl in particular. She had just gone through like a miscarriage recently, and she's
Wow.
carrying a lot with that. And I was just able to hold space for her, and she cried and let go of that stuff she was carrying around, and she didn't even, she knew that she was carrying it around, but it's just like when you have the space to process that and let it go, you can truly move forward. And another one is I have a friend, and she's also like a healer herself too, but one time I kind of had like a circle and she was in it, and then she and her mom, her mom has been one of her biggest teachers, just like my dad has been one of my biggest teachers. And she was talking about, oh, like my mom just puts all these limiting beliefs on me. Like I feel so stuck. It's this scarcity. It's this, not feeling safe kind of energy. So as, her daughter and a healer, she's trying to work through that. In that moment when she was talking about it, I could feel it. I was picking up on it, and I started to kind of
Wow.
feel that unsafety, or just, I started to cry and tear up. And a couple minutes later she was like, oh my gosh, like you could feel that and you could just like help me move through it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that I'm thinking about it now, because not everybody has that gift, but it's like, okay, I can feel so much of what you're going through, and I can also help you through it so you don't have to carry it around anymore.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Makes you feel so much better. I like the weight's been lifted off your shoulders and
Yeah.
that sense of calmness and freedom. Is there anything you could recommend to our listeners? I mean, should we be
Yeah.
meditating? Should we what's good
Yeah.
for us to start to feel better, to make a change? Do you have anything that
Yeah.
could be helpful to us today?
Oh yeah.
I was like, you don't have enough time for that in the show.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that is a huge thing that I care about. There are just so many tools, because I think it's like been conditioned into us, take a pill and go to therapy, and that just doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
So one thing online that's pretty easy to look into is called emotional freedom technique. You can go to YouTube and just put in like EFT. You can do it for like anxiety, just anything that you can really think of, so that'll start to move the energy throughout your body instead of it being stuck. um Books wise, one book that changed my life is called A Mind of Your Own by Kelly Brogan. So she
Okay.
talks about how it talks about depression specifically, and how that's just a symptom of inflammation.
Okay.
So that was really important. And there's another free thing that I just kind of found recently, but it's super cool. It's actually up on my laptop here. It's called Subconscious Release Technique. And then you can just go to that website. So
Okay.
this woman came up with, basically we have all these programs, and you can find what ones you have and then
Okay.
remove them from your subconscious mind, and it's like super easy and powerful.
All right, I'm liking that one. And
Mm-hmm.
let me also ask you, I was reading before as well. You have a great little quote about remembering your North Star. Could you
Yeah.
share that with us? I can,
I don't remember
you said,
exactly.
this is what she said. She said, remember your North Star, your compass. Take action each and every day to follow that. Move the needle 1%. How important is that, right? Little
Yeah.
baby steps can go such a long way. People
Mm-hmm.
want and expect. No, it's going to take time, right?
Yes. Yes. And it's going to take time, but if you don't take any action, you're never going to get it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like you
Yeah.
got to start somewhere, and then start somewhere, right? If you can't take on the, deepest stuff, right? What can you do today? I'm going to drink one more glass of water today than yesterday.
Yeah. But it's true. It's those little things that can really help us learn and become
Mhm.
better people. And let me ask you how COVID affected you, affected so many on a personal level now as a coach and your clients and people. Are you noticing like a real high anxiety stress
Yeah.
level with people?
Yes, I think COVID has really highlighted, that stress has been there, right? But it
Yeah.
really highlighted it. Like, I'm really introverted, so I was like, I'm fine being at home, like just chilling. But I know some people, like, they missed going out, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't run away from that anxiety or that fear that I usually run away from. Business wise, I actually quit one coaching job right before COVID, and I worked outside, so I got to be outside, which was very healing and awesome for me. And I mean, I think a lot of families were affected by COVID. Like, oh, did you get vaccinated? If you don't get vaccinated, what does that mean? A lot of these even things are coming up in families have highlighted of, oh, like I just believe something different than you. Can I still allow you in my life? Or do some people just completely, cut them out like it's too much?
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, we want to keep our listeners informed about the work you do. And as a transformational coach, I think it's important, obviously, to get that one-on-one. You got to feel comfortable, obviously, with your coach. And Rachel Roxanne, again,
Mm-hmm.
talking to us here today live from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She can customize any program for you. And let me ask you now. So, since are you helping people as a transformational coach also like work on getting a different job? Redeveloping or undeveloping a new talent that you may not know, that you had, like,
Mm-hmm.
and peeling back the layers because after COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs, but that's
Mm-hmm.
also part of a transformation. Have you worked with
Yeah.
people going through different job changes and helping them find what other else things they could do?
Yeah. I haven't yet. However, I can say, I mean, at the root of any change or transformational process is this inner work. And I 100% know that I can help someone through that. Because it's like, you're not maybe this one identity of, oh, I was an accountant anymore or whatever, that one job was. So it's like, okay, we can come back to yourself and reevaluate, what are your values? What do you care about? What do you want moving forward? At this last job, were you able to ask for what you needed and what you wanted? Do you feel like that it was kind of, where you couldn't speak your truth, where you couldn't be authentically you? So that I can definitely help people with, and I'm passionate about it no matter what.
Oh, good. And if anyone could take something away from today's show with us here today, and what would you say to them? Any words of inspiration and enlightenment that you want to share?
Yeah. I will say that, yeah, it's a crazy time to be on this planet. At the soul level, you chose to be here to do this kind of inner work and transform in a very empowering
Yeah.
way. This uncomfortable stuff is coming up for a reason. You're able to handle it. And a lot of the work that I've done and what I help people with is just giving them the tools to navigate that so you don't feel so
Yeah.
lost and confused and scared, because I know what that's like. It's really hard.
That kind of leads me to my next question. I was going to ask you, some people may be listening also not understanding, well, what is a life, what is a transformational coach compared to a counselor, a mental health counselor? Why
Yeah.
would I need a coach over that? Could you explain the difference to why people would come see you?
Yeah, 100%. Kind of with counseling or therapy, it's like, um, what's the word? Like, I don't know, talking about the past or processing the past. So a coach is kind of more forward thinking, like, what am I gonna do? Um, yeah, moving forward. However, I mean, I've kind of come to the conclusion and realized for myself, like, in order to move forward in the way that I want to, I do need to integrate the past. So I like to think that I kind of do both, right? I have the vision and the visionary and that true north and compass. However, you're going to get there a lot faster if we can, give that inner child, give that little version of you a hug, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. We should do that for sure. And we still have just 3 minutes left on the clock here. So Coach Rachel Roxanne joining us again. They can reach out to you. Would you mind sharing your email again and phone number?
Yeah, so it's Rachel Roxanne 1111 at Gmail, and then the phone number is 651-829-5208. And then can I share one more thing?
Absolutely. We still got 2.5 minutes. Go for it, girl.
Okay.
Your time.
So earlier today, I secured a book contract.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. With the London Publishing House, and the book is going to be called The Intuitive Goddess. It'll come out January 11th.
Okay, I'm sorry. I knew nothing about you becoming an author. This wasn't in
It
my
just
notes.
happened.
But so have you been working on something for a long time, hoping to get it published, or now you have an idea and now you're going to start writing it?
I started to write a book, but literally a couple days ago on Facebook, a woman was like looking for this kind of woman, and I talked with her today, and I'm just like, this is me. So I'm going to write a chapter in this book about my journey, and it's going to be published, and I'm going to be out there.
That is so exciting. All right, so we need the website by then. Social
Okay.
media pages, though. Where can we find you on social media?
Rachel Roxanne 1111 on
Perfect.
Instagram, and then Facebook is Rachel Mueller 11.
Congratulations. It's all about social media now anyway, and it just clicks to the link. But that is awesome. Let's talk more about your ideas and your chapter, what it's going to be all about. Do you mind talking about it next time we speak? I would love to hear more.
Yeah.
All right.
Heck
Awesome. Awesome. And pleasure speaking with you today, getting to know you. And thank you for sharing this. And congratulations on this news. And let me ask you, is it something clearly you've been writing? So clearly you've wanted to write a book. Do you also believe part of you is kind of manifested that with your mindset?
100%. Yeah.
And listeners, you could get what you want too. And yeah, it could be a book deal. It could be a car. It could be the love of your life. It could be, doesn't have to be monetary. It could be something that you truly wish, that next job. So remember that and look at that. See, I call it a miracle. Miracles happen, but it's kind of karma. It's kind of what you've created and what's meant to be. So best of luck. Yeah. Exciting. All right. Pleasure being with you. You have a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon, Miss.
All right. Thank you so much.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.